In this video, I want to talk about the way you need to plan for your research paper. And I want you to have some sort of plan to use. Um, let's discuss this in terms of outline, but then I'm going to talk about other viable options that I think are going to work great if your mind works a certain way. So traditionally, it's around this point in the class when a teacher or your editor, well, your whatever, someone's going to ask you, hey, can I see a plan of what you're going to write, and doing it in outline form is fine, all right, if you like that. That's not going to be the required format for this, but if you're used to, outlines and you're comfortable with that, and you're already thinking in terms of your paper as an outline, thesis, and then Roman numeral 1 and Roman numeral 2 and Roman numeral 3 or whatever, right? And then uh, subpoint A and subpoint B, and you might have B with a subpoint 1 and 2. Okay, that's called a formal outline or a Roman numeral outline. So if you were to Google or ask AI what a formal outline is, you'll see plenty of examples. And then if you want to go ahead and try to write one for your paper, that's great. Okay. Um, Traditionally, teachers that have required a formal outline add extra requirements in terms of the points need to be full sentences. There has to be logic. There's to be a lot of logic to it. Things like that. Um, and they like plurality. So if you have one main point, you need to have another one. Like point A, Roman numeral 1, you need to have a Roman numeral 2. And then you can have a 3 or 4 if you want to, but you need to have at least a second one, or why divide it up into Roman numerals in the first place, right? So if you're going to divide Roman numeral 1 into subpoints, you're going to have at least 2, because if you're doing that division process and you take Roman numeral 1 and divide it up, you're going to have more than one piece. So they want a subpoint A. If you're going to have a subpoint A, you better have a subpoint B. And I think that sometimes this is not really the way writers write, and it leads to a false division, a false analysis, where it looks good on paper, but when you actually think about it, that's not how the argument should be presented to your audience. So you're here to create interest, maintain it, and reward it in your paper. And if you feel like you've taken a logical approach to a topic, an outline may work for you. And if you like the formal outline because you've done it before, hey, that's fine with me. Go ahead and send one in, okay? But I also want to talk about other ways you can do this. You can write an informal outline, okay? Now, when I say informal, I mean it doesn't have to be so logically strict, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in full sentences. You can just tell me what you want to do in part 1, what you want to do in part 2, what you want to do in part 3, okay? And then if you want to divide those up a little bit more, you can do that, okay? And it doesn't have to be Roman numerals or anything. We're just talking about parts and subparts, okay? So visually, the informal outline can actually take the shape of, say, what I like to call is a column outline. Okay, a column outline is basically, I want you to think in terms of your paper being one big column. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this on this board that's back here. You see this right here? All right. Now I have some light on. There's a shadow there, so I'm just going to use this. But it's very simple. It's just you have you just kind of make a column. All right. Not a very good column. Well, anyway, and then you can divide it up into parts. Okay. Where this is your beginning, this is your middle, this is your end, um, your closing. Up in the beginning, you can do a couple things. You could have a hook. You can have a core question. You can have your thesis statement up there if you want to, or you can put it down below. There's a lot of things you can do with the column. All right. And you're basically looking at the column as your paper, and you're thinking through it. If you start up here and you move through it, what are you going to hit first, and then what, and then, and obviously this is your middle part, and what sort of heavy lifting is this going to do? And then as you close, how are you going to close? Are you going to call for further research? Are you going to make qualifications and say, look, it's not really that widespread, or or it's, are you going to somehow, well, the word is qualify, your claims so that it's not absolute, you're leaving room for the gray areas or whatever. So just maybe working with a column is actually better for you so that you can get a visual plan of your paper and use it as a profitable, tool to help you begin writing it, right? So whatever you come up with, formal outline, informal outline, both of those are kind of like word written out, and lines and phrases or whatnot, or visual, like a column outline, if you will. I'm not going to draw it here because we all have, familiarity with flow charts, right? Or, the whole maybe a web or an arrow chart where step one is this, and then you have an arrow going to step two, and then you have maybe 2 hours coming down, or you can work with arrows here, okay? And that could be a visual drawing of what you want to do. It just has to be some sort of map, if you will. All of these, from the formal outline all the way to the arrows and boxes on a page, to this picture of a column, all of them really are maps of how you're going to begin writing, how your writing is going to be continued on to the end, and how you're going to wrap it up. Okay? So if you are actually writing something out that can be submitted quite easily because you can write it in to the submission box as some sort of outline or a step-by-step thing, like step one, I'll do this. And then in step two, I'll take that. That's sort of a paragraph description of the step-by-step you're going to do throughout your paper as you deliver it to your audience, right? But if you're more visually oriented and like to draw something, why don't you sit down, really think hard about it, honestly draw something that can really help you start your paper, give you a map, and then just take a picture of it and submit the picture onto the, submit it online, and I'll grade it. I don't need to see this thing written out. I just need to make sure that you have a working map that for you, as far as how you were thinking and how you do it, is really the best version of it for you. So that's this outline assignment, and I'll need you to do that before you start on your half draft.